Great group today. I'm sure we have counselors with us today. We likely have some people from the university side as well who are here to learn about this new tool. I'm Emily. I'm part of edhub.ai. We also have a NACAC SIG special interest group, AI in college admission, and I help lead that group as well. And we're really excited today. I've been talking with Senan for years now, right, Senan? I mean, since I feel like it was from the beginning. I'm sure for you it started way before our conversations. But yeah, I learned about Kollegio about a year and a half ago, close to 2 years ago now. And me and Senan have had the opportunity to present together. We did a session at NACAC last year. We've done several sessions together. So yeah, I'm really excited that he's here today to kind of share what he's been working on, which is really a tool that helps solve a lot of the problems and the difficulties that us people in admissions and educators are facing. So I'm really excited, to have him with us today to talk about that. So we're going to do introductions. We also have Lauren with us from San Francisco Unified School District, but I'm going to let each of them, we're going to introduce ourselves. So Senan, do you want to take over? And then Lauren, introduce yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Emily, and hello everyone. Great to see such a diverse group from so many different places across the country and the world. And yeah, when Emily said years, time definitely does fly. I feel like so much has happened in the last few years with AI and the different ways that the world, especially the world in relation to technology, is changing. And a little bit about me. I'm CEO and co-founder of Kollegio, and our mission is to essentially be the AI connectivity thread between high school students, college institutions, educators, and really just play as the platform in the middle of between that. My background, I started off as an IEC, as a private college counselor for several years. Wanted to do something different at the forefront of the AI boom, thought there was a huge opportunity for AI to help students. Our first tool, and we continue to work on it, is actually the student-facing platform that's completely free right now, working with 200,000 students, looking to get to 1 million. We also have dozens of college partners all across the US that we partner with. And we have thousands of educators who are counselors, who are teachers also using the tool. And that's the ecosystem that we're building. And as Emily mentioned today, we're going to talk generally about the status quo, one for the world of educationists across the US and the globe, and then also talk about the Kollegio tool, which is completely free for educators to use, and really want to get some feedback and some thoughts from the group on that point as well. So yeah, great to meet you all and excited to dive in a moment. But before that, over to my colleague Lauren.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Marshman. I'm a head counselor for San Francisco Unified School District. Um, I was a middle school counselor, and then I became a high school counselor. So I did school and college counseling in San Francisco at one particular school for 14 years, which was a long time on the ground. And so I saw thousands of students graduate, and I helped them get into college, and I loved it. And I loved college counseling. And then I moved from that into central office, what we call sort of our home office. And in that position as post-secondary head counselor, I was the sort of trainer on site to work with 140 San Francisco Unified counselors to do professional development around post-secondary access for our students. And I loved that job. And then COVID happened, and I shifted a little bit after that. And so now I am still in central office, but working with our AVID programs. Shout out if anybody knows AVID, give me a thumbs up. It's a college preparatory elective that students take in the middle school and the high school years to get them to succeed in their current school environment, and also to think forward to their college or their high school career and where that can take them. And so I get to support our 15 middle schools and high schools that have it, and work with about 45 teachers and 2,000 students that are in the AVID program. And I love, love, love what I do. And I'm privileged to be in a room full of counselors from the college side, sounds like, from the high school side, maybe even some middle school counselors who are in here, and the independent counselors who are in here who consult. Thank you all for the work that you do.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Lauren. Before handing this over, Senan, to give us a little bit more background here, just a couple things. I mentioned this earlier. There is a Q&A box that you can see there. We do encourage you. We do have time for questions at the end, so please feel free to use that. We are also recording this session, so if you're listening and you think of another counselor who could benefit from this conversation or what you're learning here today, please, I'll put our YouTube channel so you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and get a notification when this is posted, but it should be posted by early next week. So I'm going to hand it over to you. Back to you, Sanan.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, Emily. And yeah, I'm just going to share my screen. We're just chatting about how there's some innovations on the way that the Zoom the Zoom conference kind of works. But yeah, this is Emily, Lauren, and I. And just to dive in for our plan for today, we went through our introductions. I'm going to quickly share some facts and figures on counselors and educators, burnout. We're going to go into a panel discussion where Emily, Lauren, and I are just going to chat about some of the themes that they're seeing, that we're seeing together. And we're going to keep it interactive, do some polls throughout. We're going to show off the Kollegio tool as well, that essentially helps counselors manage students, helps them write recommendations more quickly. Really want to get your feedback, and then we will end with some general Q&A. So without further ado, just to kind of give a lay of the land, counselors are spending a lot of time on administrative and non-counseling tasks. This is asking the question of why are educators burning out? They have less time for real counseling and student support due to a larger and larger workload. A lot of the time, their daily work does not necessarily match their professional purpose or training. They're being pulled into different sorts of work, and this creates a lot of frustration, perhaps a loss of meaning, emotional exhaustion for a lot of educators. And this is all, yeah, data that we're pulling on from, you can see different sources here at the bottom. And when we were thinking about this presentation, the team and I were coming together. It was actually fascinating to see how educators' job satisfaction is decreased so much as compared to previous timelines. So you see generally a huge drop here on this graph, and this is kind of part of the reason that we began thinking, like, is there a way that AI can play a role here to do a lot of the monotonous kind of repetitive tasks that a counselor might be doing, an educator might be doing, and allow the educators to focus on the most human aspect of what they do. And we see K-12 workers have 50% higher burnout rates, or reporting to feel that they're burned out, as compared to other workers, which is yeah, very significant if you think about it. And many teachers leave their profession within 5 years of teaching as well. So higher than average burnout results. And this is what really made us want to start this recommendation co-pilot that we'll show in a moment. It's the idea that, okay, is there a way that we can track, manage students and where they are in the process more easily? And also, can we help counselors, educators, teachers, whoever it may be, write recommendations more quickly, more efficiently, and an impactful way? So we do a few things here, and I'm going to go into a demo in a moment, but we're going to create and upload brag sheets, show how we can use AI to generate recommendations in your own writing style, tweak it using AI, hopefully automating a lot of your workflow, uploading templates and the like. And also there's a more hands-on version, and there's another version also where you're still doing the majority of the writing, and the AI essentially is there to help you tweak while you stay fully in control. So this is, anybody can scan, sign up, take a look, and we'll get into it more thoroughly in a moment. So we'd love to begin with actually a quick poll for the group. Sana, if you could share that in the, yeah. Hi, Jasmine. Okay, great. Chat is enabled. But if you could share the first Slido in the group, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I was able to update the settings. So now everybody can, the Slido is now shared in the chat. You can see it there, and you can all also now add to the chat so we can all contribute.
Okay.
And you can click on that link And Sanan, I think you can click on that link, Sanan, and share it.
Yeah.
But anybody there can just go to the chat and click on that and can take the survey from Slido.
Okay. Fantastic. And the first question is just, how do you feel your current workload is as a, sharing my screen, yeah, counselor, as an educator right now? So first result is frequently overwhelming. And we'd love for everyone to participate, and hopefully this is
I think it might
accessible.
require people to log in, Sanan.
Oh, into Slido?
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't know if there's a different link because that when I went to it, it's asking me to log in.
Hmm.
So, Emily, the link that has been shared in the chat, that should be open to everyone.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, and would you mind pasting that again just so it can be at the top of our chat? There, people are having trouble seeing it. There it is. You should see that now. You're just sharing it to hosts and panelists there. Can you
Oh,
able to choose everybody? I think I can do it
Yeah,
too.
sorry. Yeah, the
There you go.
option's not coming to me.
There you
Oh,
go.
there it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
thanks,
So
Emily.
yeah, so now it's in there. You can click on that, and that will take you directly into the questions. You don't have to log in or do anything. You can just
Yeah.
take that quiz or that poll.
I think you can also potentially, yeah,
There we
okay.
see it moving now.
Wow, this is fascinating.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I relate with busy but manageable during, or mine's busy but not manageable during peak season. Like during peak season, it feels unmanageable, but that's not year round. And that, kind of made it, gave me some time to recuperate when it was a little bit slower in the summer. But yeah, during certain times of the year, it is very overwhelming.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll leave it up. Um,
And the other thing I think, Sanan, at the end, you can get a link from the share and put that in the chat so people could look at that
oh,
after you take it down.
okay. So if I copy this joining link,
Um, is that just to join? I thought it would also, I'm hoping it would also show people the results, but I'm not 100%. I don't,
here we go. Poll results visible.
yeah, that would be good.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, but very interesting to see that 30, 40, 45, 50% of people go into the frequently overwhelming, unsustainable without support, overly overwhelming and unmanageable categories. So that's really fascinating to see. And only 15% come in the first two, kind of manageable, sustainable, occasionally busy, and but mostly manageable. Um, yeah, I think this kind of tees up our discussion quite nicely. So maybe I'd love to say, Lauren, of course, working with a team of so many different AVID counselors, educators, how have you felt the workload evolve over time? Has it been, is this something reflected that you've seen across the industry?
I will back up by say San Francisco Unified is going through a lot of we're in a budget deficit right now, and I think with that comes a lot of overwhelming things. But I think largely, there's also so much information out there for our students when we're thinking about college access that we have some students kind of take this defeatist perspective where they don't know where to start, and so the AVID classes and the senior seminar classes and the counselor and the AVID teacher become really, really, really important to get that student started. And then on the other hand, because there's so much information out there, there's so much knowledge, and there are those like really, really like knowledge-based students who just seek out knowledge wherever they go. And so they're going on websites, they're going on social media, they're listening to podcasts, and they could become they are college counselors themselves. They're peer college counselors. Um, so for the group that feel more overwhelmed, I would say that there seems to be more handholding that counselors are doing on a day-to-day. Attention spans for students have been sort of decreasing. Task completion seems a little bit more difficult observationally. To get a student from point A to point Z takes a lot more like, hey, let's walk through this process together. And then I think the generation is used to sort of immediate gratification, and so with that, unfortunately, comes procrastination. So a lot more like writing essays at the last minute, and a lot more like, "Hey, Miss Marshman, can you do this letter of rec? Oh, when's it due, Joe? It's due tomorrow." So those sort of things come about a lot more than they used to, it feels like. And also students' needs are changing, so they're questioning, how college is going to help them in the future. What are AI resistant jobs? Should I go into a trade or certificate program? Costs are rising for college, and so they're thinking, what's affordable for my family? The political climate has been really tough on our immigrant families, and so they are thinking about how to stay local, and how to stay protected and how to stay safe, and that shifts sort of their perspective. So lots of different things changing, I would definitely say. And then lots more, for some reason, student applications have seemed to be increasing. So a lot more, it used to be, it'd be under 10 colleges a student would apply to. Now, I mean, when you talk to students, they're up to like 20s and 30s, which
Wow.
is incredible to me, and pretty daunting of a task from a student's perspective to properly research all of those universities, fill out all the forms associated with them, and then on the other side, as a counselor, having a student with that many colleges that they're applying to, there's inevitably a lot of things on my end as a counselor that I have to help them through. So those are sort of the shifts that I see in the day-to-day work.
Wow.
And
There's a lot. Yeah, sorry, go
right.
ahead.
No, I just find that so interesting because that all is happening simultaneously with college admissions getting less transparent, more difficult, I mean, the pandemic threw everything, up into the air and everything went test optional. And what does that mean? Do I submit test scores? Do I not submit test scores? So you have students with smaller attention spans, you have students, who need more hand holding, who are applying to more schools. So that's more letters of recommendations. And then just walking them through the process. I mean, I remember, this is going to age me, but back in, the late 90s when I applied for college, I was completely overwhelmed at applying to 3 institutions and, required a lot of time from my college counselor. And now I look back on that and that feels really sweet what I did. Like, I actually faxed in an application to a school, I wrote things, and that just seems so simple and sweet now. And, going back to my 18-year-old self, I don't know if I could navigate the system now. And I can imagine the additional pressures that would put on my college counselor. So, and the thing we haven't even brought into the conversation yet is AI thrown into all of this. Then you have this crazy new technology that just has so much capacity to mimic behaviors that humans do, that previously required a human to do. And so now you have counselors kind of weighing how they use this to help students in an ethical way. And you have students who are using it both ethically and unethically, and who don't have the, AI literacy to know how to navigate this new technology.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think it's so fascinating to see one, how the generation shifts. Like the 20, 30 applications, I can't even imagine what the decision-making process looks like for the student on the other side, because now with the world, this is another kind of rabbit hole to go into, but with the world of direct admissions and all of these different ways that students can very easily get admission offers as well, then there are so many different schools that they could be potentially considering, and how are these decisions being made and whatnot. I'm curious from the perspective of AI and AI tools, what are you folks seeing that educators are adopting today? Maybe Lauren first.
I think search platforms like Kollegio really do fill that gap. Use it. I think when I first started working with AVID programs, it was a very simple search process. It was, you go on College Board's website or Princeton Review's website,
Mm.
and you just look up each individual college that you could potentially look at. And now with platforms like Kollegio, where you can sort of match the demographic of the student to a potential college, if it's a match, right, or if it's a reach, I think it does help them narrow down the scope of the 2,000 plus colleges that are out there. And so I think a lot of it does now happen in the classroom, right? With platforms like this, where it's no longer, okay, guys, just go home and do your research. Students, just go home and do your research, figure it out, talk to your family. and come back to me with a school list. It's like, no, it is our responsibility as educators now to give them the time and space to sit down and work with them on a platform, either in a group setting or an individual setting or a classroom setting, to work with them on all the tools and figure out with them and give them the tools, which tools to use so that they can narrow down this search.
Fascinating.
We also have a platform. CaliforniaColleges.edu is the official college and career search engine for the state of California. And so we are rolling that out 6th through 12th grade. And so we're definitely using that in our classrooms and figuring out how it makes sense to integrate it with an English lesson or a math lesson or an AVID lesson.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a couple exciting examples from kind of the student side of things. I'll share just from, the university side of things that I'm excited about is seeing more personalized ways that universities are reaching out to students. So in the past, the way that, most universities did outreach is they bought thousands of names and then they sent all those names the same drip campaign. So every student would kind of get the same information. And now there's so many exciting AI options that universities are incorporating into that process where a lot earlier on, students are getting personalized information and new ways to interact with the university. A number of really great agents are being rolled out where students can now ask questions 24/7 and get, those kind of more simple questions answered very quickly and then kind of funnel them down to an actual human when it makes more sense. So I think, that's exciting, obviously, from the university perspective, but I think it's also exciting from a student perspective. I am hoping that the days of just students receiving thousands of brochures in the mail and a lot of really boring emails is coming to an end, and that, it's a lot more pointed ways that we're connecting with students and giving them the information that they're really looking for. And then, from the counselor side, I talk to a lot of counselors about what they're doing, and it's always so exciting to me because I don't actually have the opportunity of like students right in front of me. So I learn a lot from the counselors that are working with students. And there are definitely some really exciting things that they're doing. A lot of schools don't yet have access to a platform like Kollegio, or something similar, and they're creating things themselves. So there's really exciting prompts that they're using, very detailed prompts where they're able to kind of hand that to the student and say, okay, go back to your computer, use this, 2-page prompt, and that's going to walk you through a whole process of coming up with, with your first college list. And then you're going to schedule time with me and we're going to look at that list together. And I'm going to use my human expertise to look at your list and help you kind of begin shaping that. And so that's one way. The other way definitely is letters of recommendation. I know there are people in this room that are overwhelmed by that and have, historically spent a lot of their time at certain times of the year writing those letters. And I know there's a lot of excitement and a lot of counseling offices that are now starting to use AI for that process. Our organization has talked to lots of people on the admission, the university admission side, and they really encourage that kind of usage. Use it, do that. We don't want you sitting at your computer making these letters. We'd like you to have your door open more and actually doing that meaningful work with students. So I think, that's one example with the letter of recommendation, but there's a lot of processes that, counselors historically have had to do kind of sitting at their desk and away from the students. And this technology is really exciting in the ways that it makes that work more creative. It makes them able to do more, and also frees up more time for the meaningful work with students.
Yeah, amazing. And I'd love to see what I'm sending another Slido. I think this went to hosts and panelists. I don't know how to, maybe yeah. If
Can you
could
pick everybody? If not, I can copy and paste it
yeah,
here.
if you could copy it, that would be
Yeah, it
fantastic.
might only give me that option. So you can all see it there. You can click on that link now, and that will take you to the second poll.
So we'd love to see different AI tools that people are using. And we're working on a whole bunch of different pieces on the Kollegio team, everything from AI certifications at schools and counselors, for counselors, specifically educators. I saw Emily got excited by the idea. Go ahead.
Actually, the link took us it didn't take us to the right thing. So Sana,
Oh,
this is the current workload one. If you could paste that and share it.
Yeah.
to click start poll. Okay, my bad. I had to click start poll. Now does it work?
Let me see. Yes, it's there. Yep, it's
Okay.
working now. Thanks.
Yeah.
And
No worries.
Senan, sorry, if you could just go into present mode. So if you press that, or like on the top right, yeah, right here. And then if you just go on the bottom right and press next, yeah, there you go.
Uh,
Behind.
I think
Yeah.
I have to do this and then click share results. This is a little bit of live problem solving.
Yeah.
I appreciate your patience. But yeah, so we're doing everything on the Kollegio team from looking at into AI certifications, partnering with schools, even coming and hosting webinars. We do it completely free of cost. And we're really looking to build our network. We already have thousands of counselors. We're looking to continue to build our group and just create a forum where people can exchange ideas. I think our group is very AI forward. Nobody's uncomfortable, and then just 13% as cautious, which is very interesting to see. Uh,
I love that they're here.
yeah, no, definitely appreciate it, and would love to also hear like what makes you cautious, how you're thinking about it. Uh,
I like that there's nobody here that's uncomfortable and I avoid them. I'm guessing they also avoid webinars like this.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I will say too, like I've talked to many counselors. There was a room full of about 80 of them at the high school level, and me and another head counselor, we talked to them about AI and their usage of it in their work environment, and it was really a whole gamut. It was those who were extremely comfortable and ready to use it right now to, and give me whatever website you think I should use, to like that feels unethical. I just don't feel good about that. It doesn't resonate with my soul, and so, and wherever anybody is at, it makes sense. It makes sense, and we need all those people. We need that spectrum of people too.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree, and I think it's like the people who are actually on the more cautious end of the spectrum that help us also like set the framework of like really thinking deeply of what's okay, what's not okay. And even like on the Collegio platform, as we've thought about how we built it, it's always about, okay, how can we empower the student in the same way if a high school counselor is sitting next to them, in a way that doesn't do the work for them. So we maybe lose out on some of that instant gratification that is maybe more popular in the current generation. But I think by showing like and coming from an educator's perspective that okay, this is the gold standard of how we should engage with AI, it kind of makes it palatable and shows the student that, hey, you don't just have to copy and paste an essay from ChatGPT, but there's actually a middle road where you're still engaging with the tool and still taking some of the benefits or many of the benefits with still remaining true to your authentic voice. And that's also what we've kind of modeled in our counselor tool as well. So I'd love to go to the last slide or question. I'm just pushing it here.
Yeah, while you're bringing that up, Sanan, I think you kind of touched on this. It's so AI literacy is so important. And, there's a lot of this talk about should we ban AI, and schools have actually gone in that direction, some schools in the United States. And to me, that's really scary. I mean, the idea that these students are going to go through this education and not learn how to approach this technology. And I think every school right now could do more in helping students kind of have access to that kind of education that can teach them how to use this technology ethically.
Yeah. And definitely, after I demo the platform, I really want to see feedback from different folks. Would love to understand how different people are thinking about it across the spectrum. And also, yeah, people are more than welcome to join our communities, to join our groups. Um, you can do so just by going onto our tool. If you even want to see like an interactive session, folks from our team, Sana, myself, we have some other people as well. Yeah, we can even show you a 10-15 minute personalized demo as well. Yeah, I don't think I shared the link. I think it might be the same link as well.
Yeah, it
Um,
is, and I reshared it.
Fantastic,
Yeah,
thank you.
so they have that in there.
Yeah.
There's one thing that's missing here, Sanan. You should have an all of the above here, because I'm sure there's a lot of people in the room that are like equally this or that, and all three, you
Mhm.
know. So we do recognize that, but choosing the one that resonates the most here.
Yeah. And then it's really interesting to see that proactive outreach to underserved students to be the main thing. Like as you have more capacity as a counselor, you can spend the most time with the students who are traditionally underserved and be more proactive. And I've probably spoken to, I want to say, dozens is no doubt. I want to say maybe half a hundred educators personally in the last year or so. And it always seems to be there's so much proactive work to do, but unfortunately, due to the workload, it's a lot of it is left to being very reactive instead. Um, but yeah, fantastic. So interesting to see these results come in. And yeah, would love to show the Kollegio tool as well. And definitely interested to, if people are interested in, I know I'm harping on, but on AI certifications, generally webinars for their students to come in and see how the tool could be implemented for their institution themselves. If you're a college as well and interested in, okay, how can we also become part of this AI ecosystem? The best way is just to go onto our website, is just kollegio.ai, book a demo with us. My own email is sanan@kollegio.ai. Sana, maybe you can put mine and your email into the chat. Um, but no, I'm really excited to show this tool off. And I'll just pause to see if we have any questions. So I see some quick questions about this. Okay, is there a sandbox where we can play with the system? You can, yeah, anybody can come in and create an account on kollegio.ai. Um, I think, Emily, you're the only one who can uh, chat as the main host. But if you could
Yeah,
maybe,
I'll share anything. Yep. Just put it in
yeah,
there and then I'll reshare it.
okay, thanks. Yeah, and Umar, thank you. So this is the website. Anybody can come in as an educator. It's a sandbox system. The empty state looks a bit different. This is the populated state. And the idea is that as a counselor, you're often requesting information for students in what we term as a brag sheet, right? Or some people call it a highlight reel. You can come in, you can make a template, you can also upload a template, change different questions that you're essentially asking to students, preview, share it, and basically send that out to all of your students. If you have a template that you folks have been using for, 5, 10 years, you can use the same template for yourselves. Um, and you can also upload anything that's populated. I know we're past most of the recommendation writing time of the year, but Lauren and I were actually talking a few months ago about how so many counselors are also writing scholarship recommendations, and this is kind of phasing into that part of the year. So this can definitely be used for scholarship recommendations. And I'm just going to quickly upload a brag sheet template and
And forgive me if I'm misspeaking, but Sanan, they can also, if the school already has their own brag sheet template that they use, they can upload that as a PDF into it. They don't have to redo it. They don't have to remake a brag sheet.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And I just when I tabbed off just because it was my desktop is weird, I just dragged on a temp like a brag sheet that's all a student already filled. And exactly, yes, an educator can use their school's template there. So I'll just say student, and then essentially it reads it and then sorts it in an AI capacity for you. And then there are a few different routes that you can take with the tool. So I put in my name, but this was a recommendation from Maya Thompson. So we have all of her relevant information here, everything that she saved. We can save changes, of course. We can add things as we feel pertinent. And then essentially we have two main options, or here it actually gets saved. So you can essentially write with context or write from scratch. And writing with context essentially allows you to utilize AI to give you that first draft of a recommendation. So you can talk about, you know, making it akin to your own writing style, the levels of how enthusiastic you want to be. You can give it a certain word count, anything you want to emphasize, any keywords to mention, anything not to mention, and you can generate a draft directly for yourself. And I see a question also about cost. So this tool is completely for free for individual educators. And if there's an institution that's interested to use, we can always have that discussion. Right now, we're just looking for early adopters. In the scheme of like students and colleges, the view for them is the most advanced for us as a company, but this is very much in an initial phase. So here you can see for Maya Thompson, a little 300 word, I capped it at 300 words, less than 300 words, recommendation written. And I can I can say mention that Maya is captain of the soccer team and a leader. So you can chat with AI in real time to tweak anything that you're writing. And this is to give you essentially a strong first draft that you can always tweak down the road and you make useful for your own purposes. So I just type in soccer here so you can see that this sentence was added in, right? So something that we hope is useful for counselors, and we have, as I mentioned, several thousand counselors already using the tool. And you come into this place or this field where you can put in, and you can put these in as save positions, name position, just to copy paste it in. We have an AI assistant where you can talk to AI and mention things. Okay, are there things in the brag sheet that we didn't mention that we can utilize? Are there other suggestions that if you have, oh, I want to write a bit of a longer piece, is there something that I didn't necessarily include from the brag sheet? The suggestions can come up. So these are just useful for tweaking. And then also if you want to just generally use AI tools, lengthen, shorten, rewording, merging ideas, that's available as well. You can download it and then upload it directly to wherever it needs to go. So that's one of the flows. Another flow is just you'd essentially come into a blank piece like here. So like you would upload the brag sheet, you say, I want to start from scratch. You begin completely from scratch here. And then it just gives you suggestions. You can use the AI tools. So here we have kind of a best of both worlds where on one end of the spectrum, you're able to like generate the draft, and that's for people of a certain comfort level, right? Especially if you have to write lots of recommendations. Um, you could make a whole argument that, okay, like a public school counselor is oftentimes working with hundreds of students, and like this tool kind of creates a more level playing field with a private school counselor who maybe is working with 20 or 30 students. But there are also, people who are a bit more AI cautious, and they just prefer coming in and being able to write it from scratch. And then you can see, okay, the date that you sent it out, the brag sheet, the date you received it. You can view the brag sheet directly, all of the different this is the dummy. You can see a test account, but all of the different pieces here. Yeah. So this is the tool in a nutshell, and I'd love to, would love to go to some questions around the tool specifically and get people's immediate reactions. So I will pull that up in a moment.
And I'll share the link also, just to, if you had questions that you don't want to share today, or if you wanted to reach out to Kollegio and see a demo, and or I'll add that here to the chat.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now a question here that came in, how does this tool help counselors still, how does it help them free up time? How have you seen that in your example, in the case studies that you've seen where this is being used? Has that actually been a result where counselors have additional time? Is it helping them kind of balance their workload, and how?
Yeah, most certainly. I think there's so many counselors out there who are writing 50, 60, 80 recommendation letters in a single cycle, right? And being able to just have a clear place, right? There's like two aspects. One is you have the dashboard, and this is, I'll just put it back up. But you have the dashboard where you know, okay, who all have you sent a request for information from, who all has sent you the brag sheet, which ones are in progress, which ones are completed, which ones aren't started. Just this organizational aspect by itself, people love. And then there's the added benefit of being able to get a template based on your writing style, based on whatever the student has shared, whatever additional information you know. Um, you can see if an average recommendation is 500 words, you're writing 80 recommendations. That's, thousands upon thousands of words of writing that a counselor has to do. And we can let them skip the drafting phase and go right into the editing phase. And of course, it's still coming out with their own authentic voice. So we've seen counselors save hours and hours of their time, not just in total, but actually on a weekly basis during that peak season where people mentioned that they were so busy. Um, yeah.
I did
And
it recently. Oh, sorry to interrupt.
no, go ahead, Lauren. Go
I
ahead.
did it recently for one of my AVID tutors. We hire college students to go into our AVID classrooms and tutor our AVID high schoolers. So my AVID tutor who is in college wanted to get into grad school, and I used this to do her college letter of recommendation to get into grad school. She got into grad school. It saved me, it cut it down for me to be, I would say, 50% of what I normally would have spent on her letter. And so I think about when I used to have like 30 letters of rec to do over Christmas break while I was trying to also entertain and enjoy my kids. And I think about the time that I would have saved had I had this kind of tool as a school counselor. If 50% is huge, and she got in, and I was able to vouch for her, right? Like my letter, even if it wasn't word for word my voice, my letter vouched for the things that she had done. They weren't looking to like get to know me as a counselor, right? The university wanted to know her. And so I was able to tell them all about her. And this process really helped that easily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what you're describing there, Lauren, is that your letter was still authentic. It was still about the student. It told that, the admission reader could learn about the student and know who that student was. And that's what the university is looking
Yeah,
for, We're not grading you, on your writing skills.
right.
That's not what that
Not the
process
purpose.
is about.
No.
Yeah. So I
Yeah, it's
really,
about just me being able to say, I know this student. She's great. These are the things she's done. Let me just communicate that to you because it may be in her application, and she's a star. Take her, and they did.
yeah. And I know there are counselors in the room that are listening to us. And even when I say, I've talked to a lot of people on the university side who have said, admission counselors, deans of admission, vice provosts of admission, they're like, this is great. What a great usage of AI for counselors using that. But I know there's still counselors in the room that are like, well, is it really okay? What if they read that letter and they can tell, they think AI has written this? Won't that kind of reflect badly on me as a counselor? We actually, AICA did a webinar last year on this topic, and we brought in a dean of first and second year admission to talk about this. So I just put that link to that recording there. But yeah, I know that there is a lot of kind of, just not being certain that that's okay. And another thing I'll just say, yesterday, this is the first time this question came up. I had a counselor from the San Francisco in a school, a very great school in San Francisco, and she wrote me asking, that their counseling office is kind of having a discussion of if that AI use needs to be disclosed then. She said some of the counselors in the office are saying, well, if we are using AI in this way, don't we need to disclose it? And, that to me was a new idea. I mean, I don't think, it's not something that I've thought of. I mean, we're all using it to kind of communicate better. Many of us are using it to communicate better and to make our emails more readable and less convoluted. And to me, that's, really the end result is a better final product. I'm not getting assessed on this. I think we all would agree this is different than a college or high school assignment that a student is working on. AI use within that is different than a professional using this to do their job better. So actually yesterday I did post a poll on our LinkedIn, on our LinkedIn page asking, do you think that college counselors should be transparent about their usage in letters of recommendation? I'm going to post that there. That should take you right into our group. Join that group if you're not a part of it yet and take our poll, it'll be done in about a week, and we'll share the results on our LinkedIn page.
It's sort of like when we used to use our iPhones for the first time to compose emails, and then at the bottom it would say, "Please excuse the typos done from my iPhone." It's sort of like, well, should we now put that? And I think the answer too is if it makes you feel better about using it, if it sort of alleviates this ethical dilemma for you, why not? If the colleges aren't going to look at it, oh, hello.
Sorry about that.
Oh, I mean, it doesn't detract the value of the information that you're putting forth in that letter.
Yeah, and in my response to that counselor, I said something that they might want to think about is just creating a policy for their office. How is their office using AI? How are they not using it? What is that? Because that, and ideally having that be a forward-facing document where parents could see that we are using AI to do our work better so that we free up more time to work with your student. That is a helpful step. So I actually encourage that counselor kind of, bring that back to the team. Let's write up, our policy on how our counseling office is using AI. And many, counselors, many high schools already have a policy, a high school wide policy, but I think that is different than what a counseling office, how you're using it when you're interacting with prospective students, what that line looks like. I know a lot of offices are very afraid to embark on something like that because this is it's changing so rapidly. So my advice is do it, but just be ready to come back to it and re-examine it and make changes as this technology evolves and as our, understanding of how it works changes very quickly.
Yeah. No, thanks so much for sharing. No, this is really phenomenal, and I just want to get to some questions on the chat. I think you answered Wilma's question. Does AI check to make sure counselor recs have been generated from AI? I think it depends on each school. They have different policies. I think you want to stay away from putting it into something like ChatGPT directly. Like our tool does specifically have that piece of right, like making sure it's written from your voice, right? So it stays away from ChatGPT sometimes using that language where someone can easily pick up on it being artificial. And I think AI is a great starting point, right? It's great for editing, for starting, and then kind of molding that initial framework or initial piece of writing that it gives you into something that's real for yourself. Yonghui Ma asks, is the information in the brag sheet the only source of context the language models use to generate the response? Also, are there specific parameters regarding writing styles? So we are candidly looking for beta testers to work with us, and I think this is a great question for our AI team. But just at a high level, there's also different levels of prompt engineering. We have thousands of recommendation letters that people have voluntarily shared with us that we use to train our models. So there is proprietary fine tuning, and I would say that. Just go to kollegio.ai/educators. If people want to get involved, we're always looking for everyone from, we're potentially thinking of coming up with an educator advisory board to school partnerships, webinars, certifications. We really want to do everything. And Mark, this idea of building the list also. It's right now it exists purely on the student side. But one thing that we actually want to do is create a sandbox environment where a counselor can come in. You like imagine the student feeds in the brag sheet, then the counselor can come sit with the student and it can actually show some recommended schools based on the student's GPA, interests, etc. And I think that's another manual piece that we're really looking to develop on, but we are looking for people who can be thought partners in this space. So definitely would love to chat. Lisa asks, can you load several letters to train it to write in your specific voice? Yes, you can. And then the question of at one point will letters become meaningless? Yeah, I think that's a great philosophical question. I don't know, Emily, how much you're comfortable sharing, but I know there's a spectrum of how much these letters are being read in the first place, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, 99.5% of them look pretty similar. And so, I think as an admission reader, what we're looking for is just kind of those outliers, it's not blatant. It's usually not a negative letter that we're seeing, but there are ways that counselors, add in and we can see some concerns for that. What I think is actually going to happen before we do away with them is actually utilizing AI to help us dig into those letters better. We are a number of universities are already experimenting with an AI reader who's helping in the essay review process. So, for example, Virginia Tech this year is using one human and one AI reader, and then each of those score it. And if it's close enough in score, then that goes on, to the next phase. I expect that there's already universities doing something similar, scanning those letters with with AI. In some ways, I obviously we don't want to eliminate the human. I think it makes sense to have one AI reader and one human reader. I think there's a lot of cases where we are missing important things that are very nuanced within those letters. And in some ways, I think using an AI reader could help us actually flag more important information in those letters. So looking forward to hearing from the first university who's willing to be transparent about that usage. And congratulations again, Virginia Tech, for really being open about what they're doing with AI as an essay reader. But yeah, doing away, will those letters go away, and will college essays go away or be reinvented? I think, within the next 5 to 10 years, I think things are going to look really different in the admission process.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would say in the scholarship process, they're going to stay around because you just, I think, so I also volunteer for a scholarship organization, and we require 2 letters of recommendation from each student. And it really does add to what we know about the student, because we're not at the school level, and we don't have access to that kind of information that schools might. And so I don't think in the scholarship world that the letters of rec are going to disappear anytime soon.
But maybe the way you process those letters might change.
Probably not, because a lot of scholarships are from nonprofit organizations and from really small, volunteer-led organizations, and we don't necessarily have the resources to go to incorporate more technology. It is just just a few people sitting around a table and reading through. And I think I knowing our membership, it will probably stick to that for years and years.
And I think on the university side, a lot of admission offices thought that we were going to kind of stay a human-based operation. But then when it became volume, then things changed. I recently talked to a counselor who their budget just was going up and up and up, hiring outside readers, because, it used to be something they could do internally. Then the application volume got to a point where they needed 2 outside readers. Then they needed 5. Then they needed 10. And they're up to 20 readers. And now she's at the point where she's told your budget is really, maxed out, but they are now exploring integrating an AI reader, so that they're not going to get rid of those human readers, but the volume's going up and they need to do something that, they can't keep scaling on that the way that they've scaled in the past.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I
just
shared,
want to.
oh, go ahead. I just shared some links. I just want to bring because we only have a few minutes left. I do want to make sure that you see those links in the chat. And there's a number of things that you can subscribe to, or places that you can go explore some more things, and as well as Senan Khawaja's information is there too.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And I just wanted to ask the group. So we said, okay, what features were most interesting? I think the automation, the customizable brag sheets, one out. The next piece, and I'm gonna be fiddling with the Slido a little bit more. I'll play this next one. Would love to, and I'll see if I can share this, or I can present it and people can scan as well. But the next piece would be we'd love to know and hear from you what's most useful for your students. Is it just a webinar for us to do? Is it training on navigating the counselor tool? Is it a boot camp directly? Are there resources just providing slide decks and handouts? Is it maybe a topic focus, a deep dive on a masterclass for AI essay writing? Would really love to understand, because as a company, we're super impact orientated. I know there are a lot of questions about the student tool, and maybe Emily, Lauren, and I can hop on and talk about that at some point. But we're working with, as I mentioned, 200,000 students. Last admission cycle, we had anecdotal evidence, but we actually had hundreds of students self-report to us that we helped them be their first in their family to go to college, receive life-changing scholarships, get into their dream schools. And the impact element is really important for us. We want to reach 1 million students by the end of the year. And we know to do that, it's not just about reaching students directly, but also talking to the people that they trust the most, the educators in the space. And that's really, we want to innovate and think about what are the different pieces that we can execute on for everyone there. So that's why I know I maybe sound like a broken record, but yeah, that's why we definitely want to chat with a whole range of different folks, get ideas and see what's possible. And we're also working with a research team out of UT Austin to actually build like empirically showcase the efficacy of our tool. So definitely stay tuned for that. I see training is actually number one, resources, webinar. Uh, yeah, that's very interesting. I wonder if something like that can be arranged. And just to end, yeah, here's the QR code. Anybody can scan and chat. If there are any last questions, of course, happy to get to them. Uh, do.
Yeah, when,
Well,
I think one of the things that many of us think about is, here we have universities who are using AI to review these applications, but then how can we be telling students not to use it, within when they're working on the application or use it to generate that essay. And I think it's important to remember that most of us, there might be students in the room, but most of us here today, we are professionals in our field. We're not students. So the way that we're going to be using AI will be different than the way that students are going to be using it. Hopefully we are all working towards AI literacy and there's a number of really great courses that can help us learn how to use it in more ethical ways. But the way that our students are going to be using it is going to be different than what is acceptable from a professional. So that's something I think that's my own opinion. I know there's mixed opinions on that, but I think, we will see different policies that say students shouldn't copy and paste an essay. But when I copy, I will draft in an email, I'll write it pretty quickly, and then I put that in and it edits it, and I copy it and I paste it, reread it, make sure it looks good, and I hit send. I don't really have a problem with that. I don't feel like I'm doing, I'm copying and pasting, but I'm using it to make my communication more clear and help me to do my professional job better.
yeah. I think there's so many different things. Like I think the workflow that's become part of my everyday is like AI note taker in the meeting. If I'm talking to someone, I can even see an educator talking to a student, and then there might be so many things to follow up on. That follow-up email might take you 15, 20 minutes, but popping that email into some sort of AI LLM and then generating a response, it's a 2, 3 minute process that allows information to be shared. But thank you so much. Really, really tremendous. We had over 200 signups. I think we probably had over 100 unique participants. So yeah, please, all the links are in the chat. Definitely would love to be engaged, would love to stay in touch. And a big shout out to both Emily and Lauren for taking the time today. And yeah, hoping to be in touch with everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
Tom.
you.